Preliminary waves count as fast as possible. Preliminary waves count as fast as possible. We're on a monthly chart of CBS Corporation Class B, Epic CBS, and we want to start what we call a preliminary waves count as fast as possible. Okay, I need to remind traders that the first attempt to count Elliott wave, that's what we call the preliminary waves count. All right, so you're going to start counting your wave. You will start counting the wave. So you say price goes up, price pulled back, price went up, and then you just count the wave. This is a preliminary wave count. So this, when we're talking about preliminary wave count, we are talking about the wave count without, okay, the validation of the wave count. So when you count wave and you have not used different time frames, that is a preliminary wave count, okay? Because if I count waves on the monthly chart, I will go to the yearly chart, I will go back to the weekly chart to see the internal wave in order to validate my wave counts. I can also use a wave count by comparison to validate my wave count, which means I use one financial instrument that is in the same sector, that is similar to that financial instrument to validate my wave count, all right? But the preliminary wave count is the wave count that we are starting with without the validation, without going too deeply, okay, into, okay, each internal waves, okay, in order to see whether there is no violation of the wave principle, all right? So this is a preliminary wave count as fast as possible on this monthly chart. I'm going to start counting my wave, all right? So the reference point we know is 2009, here it is. And you can see that looking on my left-hand side, the price was trending here in this session, blah, 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 went up to this point, and then it started going down, okay? But you can see that the price went down a little bit too far if you pay attention here. This low here, went below at a major key level, you see. So I'm putting another line on my chart. I'll color it in turquoise. Here it is. We can see that if you look on your left-hand side, those were significant support level, okay? All right, the price was finding the support in the zone of $8. But after the correction has begun, you can see that the price dipped below that significant support level. Now, when I see this, what usually takes place when we are counting wave, you see that we have the multi-wave followed by the correction phase, and more than 70% of the time we do not have total retracement. So the price may stop somewhere near the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level of the trend, or even stop at 78% Fibonacci retracement level. But whenever I see that the correction went down below the starting point, below the beginning of the trend, all right, whenever I see that, okay, whenever you see that the correction goes beyond the starting point, which means the stock becomes very, very bearish, what I do is this. Pay attention, my friend. Whenever I see that, I'll connect the high. So you see this trend line is very important, all right? So whenever I see this price dip below the origin of a prior trend, I connect the top of the trend and one of the lower high like this. And that trend line becomes very, very important tool for me to start, okay, validating, start counting my wave. All right, you need to understand that because you can see that price start going down, went down below the beginning of the trending phase, okay? So whenever I see that, I pay attention to this trend line here because after this high here, the price is a significant high, very important high for us because from here, people sold it all the way beyond the beginning of the trending phase. So it's we can't ignore that. So when I connect the top of the trend and the significant high, okay, it's very important for me that the first wave is goes above that trend line. Otherwise, it's like normally if we are using normal technical analysis, I would say to trade a priority to bear signal as long as the stock stay below this red bearish trend line. That's what I would say to traders. So to count my wave, it's important at this point in time that the first wave breaks above that trend line. Otherwise, suppose you were here, you were saying this is the first wave. When I see that, I will say to you, I don't think so, because as long as the price below this trend line, okay, is bearish. You can also see that it displays significant low by going below this low. So it's important that we go above this trend line. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So therefore, talking about preliminary wave count as fast as possible, this is my first Elliott wave. This is my second wave, all right? And looking at this chart, okay, the price just went up, okay? It just went up in straight lines in it. So I would say this is my third Elliott wave. And I would say this is my fourth Elliott wave. And then I would say this is my fifth Elliott wave. Or this one here. So when you see the fifth Elliott wave that is lower than the third Elliott wave, this is what we call an Elliott wave failure. If you want to know more about the Elliott wave failure, you need to go to www.24elliottwave.com. It's a time when the high of the fifth Elliott wave is below the high of, okay, the third Elliott wave, all right? But this is just a preliminary wave count as fast as possible, all right? This is my first attempt to count Elliott wave, all right? One thing that I do at this stage, talking about preliminary wave count, whenever I draw the fourth wave, I use Fibonacci retracement level for the third Elliott wave. I want to see how deep the fourth Elliott wave. This always will help me to validate my wave count. You can see that what I'm labeling the fourth wave is only 38.2% Fibonacci retracement level of my supposed to be the third Elliott wave. So I'm happy with that. But if it was all the way down to the 50% Fibonacci retracement level of the third Elliott wave, I will put a big question mark on that fourth Elliott wave, or in fact, I will invalidate that fourth Elliott wave straight away. So therefore, with my preliminary wave count, I'll quickly check how far the fourth Elliott wave went down in comparison to the third Elliott wave. Shouldn't be too deep. That's the point I want to make. So now, here we are. I'm talking about Elliott wave failure because the fifth wave did not go beyond the first wave. But this is just a preliminary wave count as fast as possible on the monthly chart of CBS stock, a Russell 1000 component. So the next stage, so here it is, I have my wave count. So if you are wrong, you will know straight away, because if you draw your trend line, you will see that, okay, the price should be above the trend line, should be in a rising channel, all right? So if I draw this trend line very fast, okay, you can see here it is. All right, connecting the dots. So this low and the higher low allow me to draw the first line. I just select the top point to draw. You see how the fifth wave, my supposed to be the fifth wave, has ended on the edge of that trend line. And then now it comes down, okay? In my view, there should be, okay, another move down. Price is likely to form another move down here. On the edge, you can see now we are now again on the edge of this trend line here. All right, but this is a preliminary wave count. The next stage is what? Now, because I've counted at this, I want to see the internal wave or the third wave, the first wave, and the fifth wave. Then now I will switch to the weekly chart, another lower time frame. So when you count the wave on X time frame and you go to the lower time frame to the X time frame, you want to see the internal wave. Now, if we go to a higher time frame than the X time frame, we are still trying to validate the wave count. We want to see, is everything adding up? All right? Or is it just a correction? So if, for instance, is this truly a multi-wave? So if I go, for instance, on the yearly chart as fast as possible, you can see that this is quite an impulsive price move here. So this is not a correction. You can see that it's also above this high here. So this move up here is not a correction as such, is it? We haven't started the validation of the wave count. It's just a preliminary wave count. But now if I go to the weekly chart, what I'm trying to do, at that point in time, I want to see the internal waves of my waves and see, is there any violation? Is everything okay? All right. Should I worry about something else? Should I put a question mark on my wave count? All right. What other traders are looking at? Okay. Does it make sense, my wave count? All right. It makes sense. So this is how we start counting wave. All right. The preliminary wave count as far as possible. And then you go to the lower time frames. If it's not clear for me on the weekly chart, I'll go to the daily chart. And we go to the higher time frame. Okay. Now we go into the validation of the wave count. We also use another method that is wave count by comparison. All right. So this is the end of this short video about preliminary wave counts as fast as possible. I leave it to traders to go a little bit deeper to see, okay, what can you see here? Okay, what can you say about this wave count? All right. The stock we are looking at, CBS, has 1,000 components. All right. Also on a monthly chart, the takeaway I wanted you to remember is that whenever you see a correction that brings the price below the starting point of the first wave in an uptrend, as you can see here, always pay attention to this trend line here before you start counting your waves. It's important that the first wave break that trend line. Otherwise, you may see straight away that it's not working because you will waste a bit of time. It's not good, all right? Because what we should say to traders is for priority to bear signal below the red line. Okay, now it breaks above it. Now it's not by mistake that the professional retest it. You can see how they retest it on a dot. Now from there, okay, we are out of the bearish zone. Now the price start running away. For me, the third area wave, fourth wave, and the fifth wave, which is an area wave failure here. Feel free to disagree with my wave count, but this is just a preliminary wave count as fast as possible. We wish you the very best in your trading, and until the next time, enjoy yourself and be very happy. We are the TSTW24 traders talking about preliminary wave count as fast as possible. Happy trading to you all, and speak to you soon.